Hello and welcome to The First Issue Club. We are your weekly comic book podcast that covers almost exclusively first issues to help onboard you and guide you through the muddy and murky waters of this comic book industry. With me, as always, are the Budget King.
Hey.
And Greg.
Hello.
And sadly, we're missing Caitlin. We miss you.
Can you get like a voice memo of her for us to dip into the show right now?
Yeah, sure. She's actually going to be back next week.
She is?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you go sss?
I said yes.
Oh.
Her sabbatical is coming to an end, and so she's coming back.
I thought you were like sss.
Like a hissed at her? No, sorry. Boo! Boo! All you Caitlin fans out there, I did not hiss at her name.
All the Kate heads.
All the Kate heads. Today we're going to be covering a couple doozies, a lot of comic book buzz about both of these books. The new Heavy Metal series on DC has kickstarted this week, as did Wynd, the new James Tynion book out on Boom.
Boom.
That is following his great acclaim he found with Something is Killing the Children. So much buzz on that Boom book that he wrote. So great anticipation for this one. Much higher pre-orders. A lot easier to find than Something is Killing the Children. I think, anyway.
And a ton of variants.
A lot of variants, right. Got to capitalize.
Yeah. So, yeah, really fun books.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big week.
Before we get into those, any comic book industry news you guys just want to chatter about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to chatter about this because it's once again rearing its ugly head in our community.
Yes.
It has come to light that Cameron Stewart, who has worked on Batgirl and other DC books, has been alleged that he has participated in a phenomenon in the scumbag community called grooming. Now, if you don't know what grooming is, it's kind of a weird thing to kind of explain. So here's my shakedown. Very easy. Grooming for dummies. Here's what it is. If you are an adult, male or female, really, this is a genderless crime. And you prey upon an underage, and I hate using that word because if you're under the age of 18, you're a child. So if you prey upon a child and kind of warp their mind and sculpt their will and their kind of perception of you into affection, then you have groomed someone. Drake has been accused of grooming multiple women. Cameron Stewart has been alleged now with these tweets that have come out from Twitter. That's where tweets happen. And then from the spill out of this, unfortunately, not unfortunately, thankfully, things about Warren Ellis have come out. Now, Warren Ellis is a comic book legend. He's not immune to any of this behavior, but he is a legend. Yeah. And so that is, in my opinion, a way heavier bomb than Cameron Stewart. I'm glad both have been kind of brought to the forefront here, but DC actually pulled one of the heavy metal books that Warren Ellis had written. So DC is not fucking around here. They saw this and they said, for whatever reason, I don't know what DC executives were thinking, but they probably wanted to get out of the way of whatever allegations were coming down the pipe, and they said, fuck this book, and they pulled it.
I love that, I wonder what these contracts look like, to where the publishers can just be like, nope, you don't have a book anymore. Because, that would be really tough to do in other mediums. To be like, no, we're ending the thing we're about to release with you. And it'd be like, no, my contract actually doesn't say that you can do that.
There's probably some clause in there of just like, if you or your behavior in any way negatively affects the publishing company or revenue towards the publishing company, if so facto, we have. And also, just because Warren Ellis wrote that doesn't mean he owns it.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's this weird ownership thing that goes into it, and it's also easy for publishers to just cancel a book.
Yeah, so it's probably you're right. It's way easier for comic books to be like, you don't own this, you're a contractor. It's fucking done.
Yeah, you're done.
Well, one of the crazy things to me is think about the short notice of a heavy metal book, which is like a highly anticipated series that is just kicking off, and I'm assuming those books were probably going to come out in the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Have maybe already been pre-ordered at this point. And who knows how crucial or non-crucial they were to the main storyline of this series. But I feel like as a parent company, you got to do the right thing and say, nope, until this is clear. Who cares if it leaves out a key puzzle piece?
Right.
Yeah, we can drop a note in the letters section to fill everyone in on what
Right.
happened.
There's plenty of things you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, it's disheartening and kind of inspiring in the same breath. It's disheartening that this kind of behavior still exists pretty prevalently, is what I've been hearing from most tweets from other creators. And then how quickly the community responded is the uplifting part about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like people in the community, consumer and creator, have had just about enough of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are more than willing to just eradicate any kind of ne'er-do-wells from it.
Mm.
So a sour point to get the episode off, but I would be remiss if we didn't mention it and talk about it.
It is good to talk about. Another weird sour point, I don't know if you saw this, but Valiant is going to not be bringing back a lot of their people that they furloughed. So it is not, they're not like going bankrupt or anything like that, but a lot of people working for Valiant are not going to be brought back into working for Valiant again.
So does that mean like behind the scenes people, like accountants and...
I don't know who exactly, like,
Okay.
or if it was creators or not. I didn't get that into the article, but one of the things that they were saying is that Valiant put a shit ton of eggs in their basket of Bloodshot,
That's kind of what I was thinking.
and I don't know what kind of rights they owned from it, but they had to expect, like with like Umbrella Academy or something like that the sales of their books would skyrocket, like it always does. But both with not the inability to buy comics when the movie was out, and literally the worst release of a movie ever known to man, just because of like you can't even see it in theaters. Like they really, it was a shaky ground anyway for like a superhero movie to come out with a little buzz and stuff like that, and have like B version of The Rock, known as Vin Diesel, play your lead character.
Voice of Groot. Check your tone.
You're right. Sorry, I am a big Vin Diesel fan. I've heard that he plays Magic the Gathering.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. But not yeah. But people prefer The Rock. I'm not saying I do. Anyway, so sad for Valiant. I hope that they are able to sustain and recover.
Done for.
I was actually gonna bring up like another news, like other cons are canceling, but it's just not even news anymore. Like I bet if there's a con in 2020, that will be news.
I'm really happy we were able to go to C2E2 this year. That was crazy.
The last con.
We snuck that in at the tail.
Think about this. Like people there were like kind of dipping their toe in like, we can't shake hands.
No, I remember specifically Donnie Cates had a little banner on his desk just like, hey, I'll hit your elbow, but we can't be shaking hands right now.
Right.
And no one was wearing masks.
Nobody was wearing
Comic-Con.
Masks were like so far. That was,
Unless you were dressed like Deadpool.
Yes. Or if it was a part of your cosplay, then absolutely you had a mask on.
Speaking of this is something I want to atone for.
Everyone fucking take a seat. This never happens.
Yeah.
Our
first ever atonement segment starring Budget King.
Hold on, let me intro it.
Atonement.
Atone or apology. Atone is the right word, I think. I may have in my life, or even on this podcast, said a discouraging word about furries.
You've said nice things about personas.
Okay, have I?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've never. We had that discussion about sexuality and
yes,
furries came up, and you were just like, "They're weird." I go, "Weird's relative."
Yes.
They're not hurting anyone.
Okay.
And then you agreed.
I shouldn't have. Yes, I did agree. I shouldn't have said weird.
Wow. I think we've covered a lot of bases here for the news.
Thanks for letting me atone.
Yeah, and that was atonement.
So let's get the podcast started, right?
That's a great idea.
First on the pod today is going to be Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. You saw it in your shop. You bought it because why not? It's called Death Metal, and it's got all your favorite stars. This is a encore to the Dark Knight's Metal series, obviously, and Batman Last Night on Earth. So they're kind of all reuniting and smashing all of the Batman Who Laughs, dark multiverse things that you've read over the past year or two together. And we're taking a look at the remnants of the Justice League and the last bit of humanity that's been trapped on this hellish landscape of what's left of our Earth in the 52 multiverses that exist among DC. And what can Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman do about it?
Before we get started, did you guys have fun reading this?
I did.
You thought it was too wordy.
So I had fun reading this. I love when DC does this because it's just crazy enough
Yes.
where you can tell they're finally having some fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
The character design, flawless.
So awesome.
The story was okay, meaning the 2-page spread where they tried to explain what the fuck, where
Right.
Wally tried to
Yeah.
explain what was going on. I wanted to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
That shit was so convoluted. But on the whole, I had a great time reading this book.
I did too. The one thing about that though is that it was so otherworld that it's like they obviously knew this isn't going to tie in anyway. And
Well, not so. Unfortunately,
Well, this is the DCU.
yes, the real DCU.
They made a point of pointing that out in kind of a cheeky way, too.
So this is like for real, for real.
so now this is back into
This is not Elseworld. This is not multiverse. This is for real, quote unquote, happening.
But you can assume because Wally West is in it that the possibility to go back in time and undo things is on the table.
So where is Batman now that he's also in this?
Well, there's several Batmans in this.
multiverse.
Did you
Batmans.
read the same book we did?
No, but Bruce Wayne is in this.
Yes.
Yes.
So like wherever Bruce Wayne is doing, he also comes into this world.
So we're getting a bit of a flash forward.
Okay.
And so they talk about this woman, Perpetua.
Yes.
Something happened in a previous comic book that we didn't cover where like the source wall and like some other fucking made up word that they made collided, and thus we're in this world.
Okay. So now they're like
in its existence now. For every DC person out there now hearing me screaming, I know I'm getting this wrong, and I'm so sorry. But I'm saying something positive about DC, so cut me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sort of convoluted stuff that I don't enjoy about these stories.
Right.
But this one seemed like to be very aware of itself, had fun with like the name of the comic book, and we're getting like thrash metal or like some of the titles
Speed metal.
Speed metal with all the Flash characters? Yes, give me that.
Yeah, so good.
So my thing though, too, was like, I felt like if it's gonna be death metal, that they needed to like play into that. For me, I wanted to be like, okay, if there's gonna be a speed metal, like I want to feel like this is death metal. So like, where are my pentagrams? Where are my upside down crosses?
Yeah.
Like, where is like my like corpse paint? Or like just like play into that a little bit of like nihilism, that kind of stuff. And I just don't think DC feels like they can go there unless it's Black Label.
I agree to disagree with that.
I'm kind of in the same place too, because obviously one of my favorite scenes in the comic, no surprise, is Wonder Woman melting down her invisible jet and making an invisible chainsaw out of the remaining
Yes,
metal.
okay, that's true.
And
Yeah.
slashing the Bat Who Laughs in half. That was fucking amazing.
Yes, it was incredible. There's a lot of jaw-dropping moments in this comic book where you're just like, finally, DC is having some fun
Yes.
with their established characters that they've had for over 75 goddamn years.
It made me think, do I need to go back and reread some Scott Snyder things because I've been taking them too seriously? Like, this was written with such, like, ease and a little bit of, like, lightness to it
Mhm.
that I'm like, maybe I've just been putting on it that it was, like, overly dark and overly serious leading up to this. But this book certainly felt different.
Yeah.
To me.
I would agree. There was some, even though it's kind of like a heavier subject, not heavier, but like kind of a darker subject, there was some lightheartedness to it. And like, for God's sake, we have a Tyrannosaurus Rex Batman.
Oh my God.
Which is
so
a first
good.
appearance.
So this book automatically worth $20,000.
Oh, that T-Rex Batman is one of the best forms of Batman ever.
They make a great joke about his like small arms and whether or not he could throw a batarang, and does that implicitly make him not Batman? And
To which the Batman goes, yes, it does. I am Batman.
No, I think he even says like I'm actually working on it and they're proportional.
Yeah. So for the T-Rex Batman, for anyone that hasn't read it yet, it's
Yeah.
basically the T-Rex from the Batcave with Batman's consciousness downloaded into it.
yeah,
Which is very clever. I thought that was actually very, very,
Really
very
smart.
clever.
it was. Yeah.
What do you guys think of Baphomet?
Oh, I thought it was a great character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically Aquaman's Batman Legion person that hangs out with him. Because in this universe that we're at
They're
now,
all kind of paired up.
all Batmen are bad.
Yeah.
Because they're being led by the Bat who can't laugh, who is Bruce Wayne from a different universe. Now, if you're bleeding through your ears and nose right now, I get it. I really do. But if you just release yourself to it, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
It was. I loved the just character design. That even if it had no words and I was just flipping through it, like it was just fun to see like the Penguin in the background dressed up as Batman.
Right.
Yes.
And like
oh my God.
Clayface with like little pointy ear clays pointing up. Like that was great.
Yeah, and I loved it. I guess. So have you guys seen? There's like this beer that like all of the design are thrash metal, and then
No, enlighten me.
I forgot the name of the beer, but it's like you see it and then you're like, oh, like I know thrash metal art. And I know that it's different than like speed metal or other metal or doom metal or things like that. I just feel like if they're going to use these genres, they should be like, we know exactly what this type of metal is and why. We're not just going to be tongue in cheek about it.
You are a high connoisseur of metal music.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think most people would appreciate the nuance
Okay.
the way you would.
Okay. That makes sense. So, I mean, I guess if that was here, and I'm not trying to be pretentious about it. I know it
No, I know
it
you're
totally
not.
sounds like I am.
But I think 1 out of 500 people could tell you the difference between death metal and speed metal.
Okay. Yeah, but most
Or thrash or post-industrial.
Yeah, sludge.
most you don't think most people would know like speed metal's a little bit more bro
No,
and like
No,
absolutely not.
I didn't know that.
okay. That's cool. Okay. I thought
Does
they
that
were
seem a little pandering to you,
well
Greg?
no, it's
no,
not-
I mean,
no,
a
no,
little bit.
I was saying
a tone.
I'll tone this.
Next episode.
I was saying that like I thought they were trying to make a. It would seem like a lot of people who are in DC. I know a ton of people that are into comics are also like really big metalheads,
Yeah, the Venn diagram definitely overlaps.
and so it would be like, oh, cool, like we're gonna have some shout outs, or like we're gonna like doesn't seem like far fetched, and
I think they're going pretty shallow with this.
very shallow with that,
And
which
I'm
is
fine.
totally fine. It just was like I was looking for it and did not find it.
To
and
be
that's
fair,
fine.
your greatest criticism of every book is not enough pentagrams.
Yes, exactly.
Every book you read, you set it down, you go, needs more pentagrams.
Yes, it's my pentagrams is your Alf's.
Exactly. Correct. Every time you see a movie and you don't see a pentagram, you're like, well, this is fucking trash.
Yep, fuck it.
So if they would have referenced some death metal bands like
yeah.
casually in it,
Or like had like homages to them
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Like
And
Like
we may
if-
get that. This is only the first issue of the series. But
I also kept on thinking it was called black metal, and that even pissed me off even more. But then I had to be like, oh, it's death metal, so it's like lighter, I guess.
I think, isn't it called death metal because like it's supposedly the death of the multiverse?
Oh, I thought it was because like,
Well, and someone dies in it.
well, and then Batman raises zombies from the dead.
There's many death references in this book, but
So you know what? I've come full circle. Good job on the word death, and good job on the word speed, because it's all speed characters. Do you remember when we covered Batman Murder Machine, when like Batman was like a tank?
And we were all like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Fucking DC's at it again.
I was like, this should have been a layup. We all were like really mad at it.
What's the difference between the Bat Who Laughs and Cosmic Ghost Rider? Essentially, kind of the same character.
I think
They're both heralds from different universes. They both have skull, chain, leather paraphernalia.
Mm-hmm.
But the first appearance of Cosmic Ghost Rider goes for a shit ton.
You're right.
Because it's on Marvel.
Oh, that comparison is totally great. That's amazing. Yeah.
And here's the thing, too. Let's talk about that you can buy a first appearance of Harley Quinn for sub $500, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the first appearance of Miles Morales is selling for over $1,000 right now.
Because it's hot, hot, hot.
Who's the more popular, longer-standing character?
Well, I think
Going forward, probably Miles.
it might be
Probably Miles
Yeah.
moving forward.
So let's get back to death metal.
Okay, one of the key things that we've left out is that Wally West, who gets trapped in some soup.
Yeah, he's been souped.
He walks to the bottom of a pool that's like a prison. Has the Dr. Manhattan logo on his forehead,
Mm-hmm.
and they clearly reference blue, like universal energy that
I think it ties into Doomsday Clock a little bit.
It must.
yeah.
Right? Because they're going to have the crossover at some point.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's interesting that Dr. Manhattan and the Watchmen mythos is being brought into this at all. But it does make sense if we're saying moving forward they might try to clean up some timelines with this. That's an interesting thing to throw in there because there's definitely some weirdness with the Dr. Manhattan universe colliding with just DC superheroes.
Well, and then you get in the last panel the final form Batman, and he also allegedly has a Dr. Manhattan symbol on top of his forehead.
Yeah,
Maybe he's always been that way.
I doubt it. But good spec.
what they're really doing is trying to make sense of how all the Justice League members can fly together.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This has always been an issue, that when you're on the run with everybody, Superman flies, but does Batman have to hop in a jet? Does Wonder Woman hop in her invisible jet? Is Flash running on the ground and you can't get him in the same panel or shot? I think they're really just for aesthetic purposes.
You don't think
trying to give them all flying powers? And it's been building for this 30-year thing.
DC, everyone can fly.
How are we going to get them all in the sky?
You don't think like have you ever seen like the parents that have the leashes like for their kids? They can
Yes.
just run over. You don't think Superman just has 3 leashes that he just is like, fine guys, come on.
You
Hop
think
on, Bruce.
Batman would be cool with having like a kid leash
just like dangling.
tied to Superman?
Well, I'm sure if you call it a harness, he'd be much more
Yeah.
cool with it.
Does Green Lantern grab everybody and kind of keep them in his little bubbles?
That's what I assume happens. Green Lantern's just like form of bubble and like
Wait,
picks
you guys are
everybody
talking
up.
about like you've seen them fly together a bunch.
I feel like it happens a decent amount in Justice League comics where they're all like soaring through the air, and I'm like, wait, not all these guys fly.
Wait a tick. Yeah.
I'll have to look for it. Yeah.
Next time you're reading a DC book, really look hard at the panels.
Batman's flying?
What the hell? Do we have any more to say about death metal?
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I think we crushed it.
Read it for fun.
Don't get mad. Have fun reading your comic books. And death
Put a
metal is
smile
that.
on that face.
Yeah. Why so serious?
Why?
I did love that the kind of like doomsday button was a frowny face.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
That was
no.
pretty funny. Next up on the podcast, we've got Wynd from Boom Studios, written by James Tynion. if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that we're big James Tynion fans. He comes out swinging with these first issues, and we'll see if he's done it again. This one stars a young man. I think one thing he does really well is look at young characters who are finding themselves, and this book starts with our lead, a character named Wynd, who's a pointy-eared little elfin kid that has to hide those pointy ears. It seems that he is of a people who are imbued with a little bit of magic powers, but he's living within a kingdom wherein they're afraid of the outside world and people with those magical powers and pointy ears. So he is hiding himself. The world's going on around him, and there's some love and romance happening alongside that tale. What did you guys think of Wynd?
I think what a lot of people are going to say about this book is that it is progressive in its love because it's gay characters,
Yeah.
a lot of them. And I love that it did more than just have a gay character, which is very rare
Right.
to see in comic books. Like
Yeah.
you kind of just get one gay character, but you don't get like a bunch. And I think that James Tynion got either a GLAAD award or a GLAAD nomination for his work with Memetic. And so he's not new to the scene of LGBTQ writing, but like that to me sold me on this book.
Before we started the episode, you were wax poeticing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I think people are going to be concerned that this is too much of a teen book.
Yes.
And I kind of turned my head and I was just like, I just assumed this was a teen book.
Now, the only reason I said that, because I like teen books, I think we might be in the rare group of people where it's like, if we're reading a book and we find out it's a teen book, we're totally fine with it. Like, that doesn't
Mhm.
change it or whatever. I think some people, they're like, they go through this process and they're like, wait a minute.
This isn't for me.
Is this the age appropriate? Am I reading something below my age appropriate? Like, I don't want to be, I don't read kids' books. Like, I read the death metal, these shit. And,
Well, you got to be high fucking level IQ if you want to read death metal, so let's get that out of the way.
yeah. And so that's the only thing is that, like, I think that I'm always kind of bouncing around being like, is this a teen? If it's a teen book, I'm probably more bought in. And so I just like didn't know where it sat. The artwork seems like playful and inviting.
I mean, this is out on Boom.
Mhm.
They're historically known for their phenomenal teen books, really engrossing and encapsulating of
But
all kinds of people.
they often put those teen books on Boombox.
Sure, I mean, that's true, but every once in a while, one sneaks out, past curfew, gets on the Boom. While reading this from the get-go, I was just like, this is a teen book. It didn't feel like, and that's fine. Like, it was still a great read and like an interesting, complex story. It didn't seem like it was pandering specifically to teens, but it felt very much in the realm of teen book. And I don't know if that was the art that accompanied the story or just like the subject matter of the story itself.
You've got 3 people in this story that seem like they're coming of age, and all live in extremely different scenarios, right? You've got a character that's kind of a representative of a minority or, an outsider, a person who is blue collar, and then someone in royalty. And they're all battling with coming of age in that different role, right? So have like slapped up the side of the face with the sort of thing you would see in teen fiction. But at the same time, I think in my head, I'm thinking this is fresh off the heels of Something is Killing the Children, which was like a hard-hitting book with like kids being torn apart in it. So I'm also thinking that James Tynion in my head while I'm reading this stuff, which also had teens in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But is definitely not something I would give a 14-year-old, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So who knows where this one goes?
The other thing about it is, like, I think sometimes you might assume that a YA book or a teen book wouldn't do progressive things for the medium. I read very few comic books that completely switch characters midway through and then just end the book up on the whole set of new characters that they entered without doing some type of transition, and it worked beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing, and you don't even like really realize like where you're at with that. That's a pretty complicated thing to do for it's a mature thing to do in a comic book, I would say.
Yeah.
You're following Wynd. Wynd takes a lunch break and he goes gazing because he likes seeing this dude run with his shirt off. And then you go, the whole rest of the book is dude with his shirt off story. And you don't even go back. Normally people would be like, and Wynd is like doing this, so check him out in the next book. We don't even know what Wynd is doing now. Like now it's just this other guy's book.
Right. We assume Wynd is coming back because the book is named after him.
Right, yeah.
I loved the character design of the scarred man, or whatever they call him.
The bandage man.
Yeah, the bandage man is a guy who's like head to toe wrapped in bandages. And you're not quite sure if he's a good guy, a bad guy, but he's got the ear of the king of this village. And it seems that he maybe saw Wynd from like miles away. So there's something mystical and magical about that guy. And the fact that we can't see his face adds to that quite a bit.
Well, I mean, there were so many tiny things. Like I had to go back and read. There's a scene where a father is showing his son, like he's talking to him about growing up, and then he cuts like a radish out from like a shrub, but you can see that it's very like cute, and then when they cut it, it's like horrified, and that son cries, and it's like they kind of just gloss over that whole, and you're like, wait a minute, there's living vegetables in this world too. Like,
yeah, right. That's part of the outside world that they're trying to keep out. That I think we can take it that several kingdoms have been taken over or integrated with these like otherworldly sort of characters, or we view them as otherworldly, right? In this world, they're just like, it's normal that a radish or a carrot would get up and walk around. That we're led to believe that there's like, hey, they're cute now, but things get fucked up once these cute vegetables come of age.
Yeah, the claim of this village is it's the last human stronghold.
Yeah.
In the land.
okay.
So they've walled themselves off. There's no magic here. There's no elves, or I think they call them like weird folk or weird people or something.
Yeah.
Wherein Wynd is one of them. He has the pointy ears. That we assume he has some kind of magical.
He's like almost a werewolf of sorts.
So we see that transformation in the beginning of the book. He's having a dream, and he transforms into this beast, this pretty kick-ass beast. The transformation scene that was drawn was fucking wild. Yeah. I loved when his jaw transformed. He was just like spitting out teeth and stuff. Like that was kick-ass to me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has like some kind of werewolf transformation ability, or if he's like elven or has like magical powers or whatever.
Just weird puberty dreams.
Yeah, we've all had those dreams where we transform into a dog and shit happens. But I think
I gotta know.
Oh, tune in next time. We can gather that if Wynd is found out to be like, they find out that he is like this special weird person, he will be killed. Much like the cute radish. Which is why the Cinnabon lady, who works in the bar, who has hair that looks like a cinnamon roll, is trying to protect him.
Yeah, which I think is so impressive to have such a simple seeming story and narrative, but again, like all the things we've talked about are hyper complex themes, and it read effortlessly. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, oh, totally.
Oh,
But I mean, we're probably going to get into like classism and bigotry and acceptance and love and coming of age, all these things.
Yeah.
In this story that's like a breeze to read.
Proving to your dumbass gardener dad that I don't have to do it your way, you son of a bitch. I want to keep those cute radishes.
I don't care that it's Father's Day.
Also, the dad and the son have this moment where the dad's like, I know you're in love with this guy. It doesn't give a shit that he's gay. He's just like, you're going to get in trouble if you mess around with royalty. Not, you're going to get in trouble if you mess around with a dude.
Well,
Which is like such a refreshing thing of just like, I'm your father, I accept you. He's going to get hurt if you mess with this guy.
Well, it might be like White Trees by Chip Zdarsky,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, it is this fantasy world, but in this fantasy world, gay is a norm. It's not like our world.
Yeah.
Where like, it's people think about it. They don't. It's gay is just part of being who you are there if you want to do it. And that I like that kind of that book introduced me to that concept as like a writing tool, and maybe that's what is happening here too.
Which is, what a world. I would love to live in that where we don't obsess over sexuality.
You just don't think about it. You just let people be whoever they want to be.
Someday.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great things about this book that
There was little wrong with this book for me.
Was there any wrong?
I can't think of anything. Okay, the first like 8 pages felt like
Oh my God.
well, it felt like I was like, what book am I reading? Like I was not getting it really quickly. And it's like once I finished it, I was like, I know what I got. But like in it, I just couldn't. I was like waffling in between like, what is this?
Are you talking about the 4 pages where he's just trying to wake up and get dressed and he's having like this long-winded conversation with some woman in his room?
Right. Yeah, those would be included in the first 8
I was
pages.
just like, am I good? Is this the whole comic? Is this kid in his bedroom?
Well, there's a little bit of world building too, where they're just showing the kingdom or village is called Pipe Town, and everything's like plumbing based.
Which I hate that level in Mario, by the way.
Like they shoot up food to people from like the
from
kitchen
the water, yeah.
straight to their table with like water power below it.
Which I hope it's not like sewage water.
Oh, you would hope not.
My eggs stink.
They smell like my shit. It is my shit. It's all one big circle of life.
Welcome to Pipe Town.
So there's also like drunk old crotchety guys at the top of this too, which again makes it seem like it could be a more mature thing,
Yeah.
despite the age of the characters
Actually,
and the whimsical style.
I don't think this is a teen book at all.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
This book may not be like labeled teen, but it definitely leans teen.
I think you're just saying that because of the art style, which is why I said it.
It's so teen that Cameron Stewart is like in its DMs. That's how fucking teen this book is.
That's great. Oh, that's really good.
And that better make the fucking episode because that was a sick ass burn.
That was a sick ass burn. I don't care if it's a teen book. I'm sure there are people who do care.
Teens.
Think about it. This is how cool James Tynion is. Go ahead.
I was just saying we need to applaud teens in this day and age. All the K-pop stans and the TikTokers really gave it to Trump this weekend by buying all the tickets to the rally and then refunding them.
That was pretty funny.
That was the sickest troll I've ever seen. And finally, they found a way to harness the most renewable resource, which is the vindictiveness of teenagers.
There might be other people who like sew up their own ass about their book and like it has to be like whatever. And I could see as a marketer being like, hey, you didn't really clarify if this is teen or not, and that's not going to be great for your market.
For Greg Lichtai of First Issue Club, who wants to have...
But James Didion's like, cool, I don't care. Yeah, fine. I hope they'll figure it out if it's not or not. And I like that. I mean, I don't know.
I think it just speaks to the talent of James Tynion. I mean, Who's Killing the Children and Wynd are 2 completely different fucking books. Like, and they're written by the same guy, which is insane to me. That he has just that ability to...
Oh, yeah, he's a monster. He's so good.
To go into different realms like that. It's wild.
He's the
Writer
fourth...
of Batman.
Yes, I was going to say Batman. I was going to say he's the 4th person in his family named James Tynion, though.
That's how that works.
Got a legacy to carry
Or the
on
3rd,
here.
right? Or the 4th, yeah.
Yeah. Much like COVID-19 is the 19th person.
The 9th person, yeah. Do you guys respect people when they have like a number behind their name?
No, I could.
Yeah, you can change your name.
All you gotta do is have a son. Big whoop.
Big fucking deal.
Two.
People do it all the time.
I'm gonna name, if I have a daughter, I'm gonna name her Greg Jr.
Junior. Yeah, okay. I don't have enough of those people in my life that have like superlatives.
Is that how that goes? It has to go junior and then the first, second, third, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Could I be Mike Sr. even without having a kid?
You would be if you.
I'm
name a
living. I'm
junior.
living proof. You can just change your name at any time.
That is true, Budget King.
Do you think it's demeaning if people have like, let's say I was a Greg Jr. or like you were a Budget King Jr.
Junior, yeah.
Would you feel like kind of jilted because like Junior has that kind of connotation of just like mini or small?
I'll never live up to you, Dad.
Or would you be?
I'll never become big.
But this never makes the podcast when we make fun of an author's name. We went on a big thing on Kieran for a while that we didn't put in there. But let's keep going with this. Do you think that people get mad, the juniors, when they don't call him Junior? So like if I was Budget King Jr., I'd be like, you forgot the Junior.
It depends on how they feel about the Junior, I guess.
It's not like you earned it like it's a doctorate.
Or like you've been knighted.
Well, think about it. Nobody says Carl. It's always Carl Jr.
That's a fucking restaurant,
Yeah,
dog.
it's like a proper noun.
Hey, you guys want to go to Carl? What the fuck is that? What is
Yeah.
Carl?
That makes me mad just thinking about calling it Carl. So I
Because the restaurant's name is Carl Jr.
the
Isn't
person
it Carl's Jr.?
That's true.
It's possessive.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
it's someone's toddler that's running the restaurant.
named just Junior.
I make bogos. Thank you, Junior. Who's that? Oh, it's Carl's Jr.
It's just Junior.
I think it's an honor. How would you feel if, your brother had your father's name and you were just like Ted? That it's like, oh, James Tynion IV.
That-
And then Ted.
Every time you see his name, I assume he's knighted. It seems so regal. He definitely has a crest.
Sir James Tynion.
Yes.
Do you guys have a crest? Do you guys have a family crest?
I didn't even know that was a thing. till
My
you asked me
mother's
that
side of the
question.
family does.
So they have you have pictures that represent your family.
Yeah.
My crazy great uncle made one for us.
There you go.
And all the imagery is made up.
My mother is a Doherty, which is a very,
she's a Doherty.
very popular Irish name.
What do you remember what's on the
So
crest?
It makes sense that there would be a crest
Is there a snake?
for it. No, I think there's like a lion
Mm.
in one of the tiles.
Is there a clover somewhere represented?
Yeah.
Or-
Don't try to log into any of my accounts. You're just like, oh, I know Mike D's.
I know his password now.
His mom's maiden name.
Doherty rules. One asterisk.
So as a person that has a crest, do you get offended when it's the X's and it's it'll say the city NY something something, or there's there might be 4 pictures or 4 letters.
What a dumb question. Well,
I do believe that was Wynd.
yeah, we've done it again.
We fucking rocked that review.
Yeah.
I give our review of Wynd 5 stars.
Yeah. The Wynd. Or Wynd, best teen book I've read this week.
And best book.
Sure.
We don't do enough 5-star pitches anymore.
We need to start doing it at the end of the episode.
Yeah. 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Give them to us on whatever app you choose.
Specifically, iTunes would be the best. But anywhere else you vote for stars, or stars is the rating, give us the maximum amount of stars you can give things.
I will say, if you listen to us on Stitcher, there are easier platforms to listen to us on.
What do you mean?
Have you
Is
ever
Stitcher
used
bad?
Stitcher?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
the app is rough.
right.
Sorry about
It
that,
is
Stitcher people.
Tough. I wish we could change it for everybody.
However,
but we can't.
Spotify is amazing.
Spotify's great. As
I
soon as
use the podcast app.
we switched to Spotify, maybe
Or added
added
Spotify.
Spotify maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and immediately people started moving over there.
I moved over.
Whoa, what?
Mm-hmm.
And this is intuitive to anybody that's been listening on Spotify for a long time, but you would think it wouldn't remember your play point, because it's it doesn't do that on music. You don't it when you go to a new album or an album you listen to, it's not oh, you were previously listening here on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But they were smart enough to know that podcasts need to do that.
Yep.
So
Wow, Spotify, good job.
yeah.
You get 5 stars, Spotify.
Good job by you.
Tiffis. That's what they call them.
What?
They don't do stars. They do Tiffis.
Oh, I see what you did.
It's not even a joke. It's just a.
You're right. It's not a joke.
Mike D hit him with the outro.
I guess I click a button for that.
Well, we can't say the same one anymore.
What do you mean?
Why?
I think it says recorded in KCR Studios.
Currently not recorded in KCR Studios.
We'll just caveat with that, and then I'm going to play the thing.
Should we name this studio so we can say that?
Oh, yeah.
The Moon.
Butt Cheek Village.
On the Moon Studios.
Ooh, I like that.
Can we vote at least?
No, me and Greg have been saying recording from the Moon on Patreon
Okay.
ever since we started Patreon.
That's true.
The Moon it is. It is your house, too.
Yeah. I get to name it.
We can ask your wife.
There's a Silver Surfer skateboard above us. That could inspire something. Silver Studios.
No, I like the moon. I'll start getting you some moon artwork.
Okay.
I'll get it commissioned from our furry friend.
I have a moon.
You want to be fucking
poster.
a moon?
Don't be fucking a moon.
Do I want to be fucking the moon? Is that what you said?
A moon.
Just any moon.
Which is also code word for butts.
So Titus, I guess I'll just go crack
Yeah.
off one there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see you later. Thanks.